Welcome to r/EntitledParents, where Karen tries to return Pokemon cards that she didn't even pay for. I've been thoroughly invested in this subreddit and didn't think I would ever have a story to share, but now I do. I recently started a part-time job at a large chain retail store, mainly sells clothes, but dabbles in electronics and toys. Anyway, our store is in a pretty well-off socioeconomic area, so we tend not to get too many thefts. On to the story. Yesterday, a lady came in with her kid, maybe 8 or 9, and the kid led her straight to the toy section where she promptly began a loud conversation with somebody over her phone. I'm working the register, but have a clear view to pretty much the entire store. While this is happening, the kid behaves like a kid and begins pulling all sorts of toys off the shelf to show his mother, who ignores everything and continues chatting away. I quickly lose interest and help out some customers. Soon afterwards, I see them walking towards the exit again. The mother is still on her phone, but I notice the kid has some sort of Pokemon trading card game pack in his hands. I used to collect the cards, but don't anymore. I didn't realize they even still made them. I know they haven't paid for it, and as they're about to walk out of the store, I run over and try to tell the mom about the kid still having the pack. Of course, it takes me a couple of attempts to actually get her to listen and stop talking on her phone. Finally, she tells whoever she's talking to that she would have to hang up because some employee is harassing me. Fun times ensue. Our cast: we've got me, and we've got the ignorant mother. Me: excuse me, miss, your child has a Pokemon card pack he hasn't paid for. Entitled mom: looks at me like I'm some sort of alien life form. A what now? Me: it's a toy from this store. You haven't paid for it yet. Are you saying my kid is stealing something? I die internally. Not at all, miss. I just think you may have forgotten to pay is all. I would never forget to pay for something. Begins walking away. At this point, I probably could have, and should have, gone after them, but I suffer from pretty bad social anxiety. I know, retail job plus anxiety equals bad. But I just tell my manager about it and offer to pay the price of the pack. $6 I think it was. But my manager says that it was fine. He's nice and understands my anxiety and tells me if I see her again to come get him. Next day rolls around, today at the time of posting this, and I see her come back into the store with her kid. I go and grab the manager like I was told to, and as I come back with him, I overhear this conversation. We've got the ignorant mother, and we've got cashier too. Excuse me, my son stole these Pokemon cards yesterday, and my son says he didn't get the cards he wanted, so I would like a refund. Cashier 2, who has an understanding of how Pokemon booster packs work apparently. Unfortunately, Pokemon cards aren't guaranteed to get you the cards you want. They're all randomized. Entitled mom, alien look again. What? Manager steps in. Excuse me, miss. I'm going to have to ask you to leave this store. My employee here, me, told me about you stealing that pack. Entitled mom, Pikachu surprised face. I did not steal anything. Manager: unfortunately, miss, we have surveillance feeds of the entire incident, so I'm going to have to ask you once again to leave or the police will be called. Entitled mom just runs out of the store, leaving the cards on the cashier bench. Sorry there isn't any amazing ending with the police being called or a fight breaking out, but I hope to bring you more stories from my job if and when they happen. Next we've got Karen crashed into my Jeep and expects me to pay her cash for her damages because her kids will starve if she pays to fix her car. So some backstory. I own a Jeep, #Jeep Life, fully built, lift kit, ADD bumpers, the whole shebang. So one day I'm coming home from work. It's a summer day, the roof is off, and I'm having some open-top fun. Stop at a red light, and suddenly, screech, bang! I drive forward slightly and go back to assess the damage, and lo and behold, it's a Mercedes C-Class, new one on that as well. completely destroyed from the front, and my beautiful Jeep had no damage apart from a few scratches. I went to check on the passenger of the Mercedes, got them out. Luckily, they were unharmed. These Mercedes are definitely safe. Under a minute after she's out of the car, she starts screaming about how I wrecked her car. I told her calmly that she was the one who rammed into me. I think she understood how my hitting her would be impossible. I offered to share our insurance details because I knew that Mercedes damage doesn't come cheap. But she said she didn't have insurance. She insisted that I pay her $10,000 cash. How she got this number? I don't know. I said that was just plain wrong as 1, she hit me. 2, it's her fault for not having insurance. She then went on a ramble on how her kids needed the money and they had no money at the time, and now her kids will have to starve because she will have to pay to fix her car, and how it will all be my fault when they are on the street tomorrow. Yeah, on the street with a Mercedes, my bud. That is why you should have insurance. But no, she said that she would call the cops if I didn't pay her. I refused, as this is just dumb, so then she called the cops. Yeah. Cops came, assessed the damage, and asked us what happened, and she said, and I quote, "He backed into me at full speed on a red light," shaking my head. Then they asked me what happened, and I told them, and it became a he said, she said situation. Luckily, a shopkeeper was there and saw the whole thing and even captured it on a surveillance camera. Needless to say, I came out on top. Cops got her for reckless driving and driving without insurance. She then started yelling at the cops about how they would just let a criminal get away. They explained that I did nothing wrong and that they now had video evidence. The partner of the cop came to me and told me if I could drive, I could leave. So I got in my Jeep and left. Never want to have a Karen experience again. Not worth it. P.S. If you have a lifted Jeep with heavy-duty bumpers, a Mercedes can't do much damage. Next we've got, entitled parent leaves me with her 5 kids at a fair. One of those kids is older than me. The county fair happened recently in my county. I go to the fair every year and usually bring my second cousins. I will usually ride with them, eat, play a few games, then go watch the concerts. But this year, a look-alike band to one of my favorites was playing. So I told my cousins to text me every 15 to 20 minutes, gave them some money, and they went on their way. I sat and watched the band. Kinda sucked, but oh well. For 2 hours, and then this mom comes to me with the 5 seats next to me and says, "Can you watch my kids for a little while?" I reply, "Sure, they are just going to watch the concert, right?" Entitled mom replies, "Yes, they want to watch them for a while." So the kids come up, and I was expecting like 2 little kids. And these 4 teenagers come up to the 18-year-old me and sit down. The 5th kid was 21 years old and in college. I and the 21-year-old super nice guy get to talking, and he apologizes to me about her behavior, and this happens too often. He then talks to me about her thinking he's an alcoholic with a failing life and should have no responsibilities, especially looking over his brothers. Yes, they were all boys. Turns out he was super nice and quite a good person, just a college student, and that's it. After about an hour talking with the 21-year-old super nice guy, my cousins come back and want to go home for the night. The epic nice guy tells me, "My mother will be coming back soon, probably within the next 5 minutes. You can go ahead and leave." So I get up, tell my cousins, and they decide for me to just stay for the next 5 minutes. Turns out it wasn't 5 minutes, it was 5 seconds. Entitled parent returns and yells her heart out at me for not watching her kids. "Why aren't you watching my kids?" "My cousins want to go home, and your son, who's older and more responsible than me, is perfectly capable of watching his brothers." Big brother. "Mom, it's okay. I told him it's okay to leave." "It's not okay. You aren't responsible enough to watch them. That is why I asked this person to watch you immature kids. Get over here, OP. I need to talk to you." Me. "Yes?" These kids at any moment will turn around and start climbing up and down the walls. You need to go back and sit down until I'm finished talking with their father about this absurdity. Me. How about no? Your son is perfectly capable of watching your kids while you sit around scolding them for being teenagers, even when one of them is living on their own in a perfectly nice apartment. Goodbye. Big brother later finds me here on Reddit, and we have talked back and forth a bit, and he never really talks about what happened that night. That entitled parent is a real jerk. Next we've got, apparently theft doesn't matter. A little background. My family has close friends that own a convenience store located behind an elementary/middle school, and kids come in herds during lunchtime for Slurpees, candy, drinks, etc. I've been there a couple of times. Nice place with variety. With any retail shop, theft sadly happens. There's been those odd kid thieves, but most of the time, family friends know their parents as they frequent shopping at our store and get busted. There are also cameras set up and a screen displaying the footage in the store, so people know they're on camera and can easily look back at footage if needed. On to the story. School has started. Kids flock in herds to the store for candy and junk food with whatever pocket change they have. On this particular day, kids were coming in as usual, but entitled kid comes in among them. Family friend keeps a careful eye on all customers as anyone is capable of stealing. Family friend notices that entitled kid was looking at family friend and shuffling around the chocolate bar shelves. Family friend has managed having a store for over 10 years, so they know a thief when they see one. Family friend confronts entitled kid and asks if she stole, and she denies it. Family friend notices something bulging from her pocket and points it out. First, the entitled kid had the audacity to say, "So what? It's only $2. Why does it matter? And why do you keep looking at me and raising your voice?" Family friend is like, "That doesn't make stealing okay." Entitled kid is busted. Justice is served. Or so family friend thought. What they didn't know is she also had some up her sleeve. Family friend saw this after reviewing footage because they wanted to make sure her classmates didn't follow her actions. The next day, family friend shows this footage to their employees to remind them that we have to keep a close eye or this happens. At the same time, it was lunchtime and kids were flocking over once again. Family friend thought to ask these kids if they knew entitled kid. Some got scared and walked out. Others said yes, they knew her. Family friend said they just wanted to remind kids that they are watching and stealing is wrong as they weren't prepared for what happened next. A police officer visits family friends sometimes later in the day, saying that the school contacted them in regards to shoplifting. Family friend thinks the kids she confronted told the school, which led to the school contacting police. The police review footage and take the images of entitled kid to get entitled kid's parents' info and to notify them. Justice served, right? Yeah, but with a side of petty Karen. Entitled mom calls family friend's store and family friend picks up. Entitled mom confronts family friend and says she'll press charges on them for touching entitled kid. Family friend is baffled. Family friend says go ahead. The footage is right there of how there was no physical aggression between them and entitled kid and how baffled they are that she doesn't care that entitled kid committed theft. After explaining to entitled mom that they have footage so she can see for herself what her daughter did, entitled mom tells friendly friend that the grandma will come with her and pay for whatever she stole. Kids never see the possible consequences of their actions and think stealing isn't a big deal, but things can stack up against you real quick. It's not about the money lost, it's about doing the right thing, which isn't stealing. It might be a couple of little chocolate bars, but sometimes when you get away with small things, it gets serious, and kids start thinking they can do whatever and escape consequences. Next we've got, she can't swim, kick her out of the class. Well, I'm tired, and there were 3 days of agony from this. Working as a swim instructor/aide, I was told that there would be a small chance a parent would talk crap about a kid in the swimming pool. God, did that small chance happen. It was 3 weeks of different events, so I'll split it up. Week 1. I had to take over for my coworker who went out on vacation, and I went through all of it normally. Tiring, but normally. The second to last class I had to teach was where it started. I had 2 kids in that class, one who was confident in the water, and the other who seems to hate the coldness of the pool. Now, in work, it's natural to have someone not used to the cold pool, but when it reaches 3 to 4 weeks, then it becomes a concern for swimming level. It was her second week, so no big deal. Since there were 2 of them, I just did hand-to-hand with her on her strokes and her kicking, while I tell the other to do on his own, while telling him that he needs to get up or kick more on his feet. After the lesson is over, the mother of the uncomfortable swimmer thanks me for taking my time with her and walks off. As I got out to head to my last class, the entitled dad of the story showed up, and at first asks about his kid and how he was doing. I was happy to tell him in a few minutes how he did and what he can do to improve, and just as I was about to walk to my last class, he stops me in my track by saying, "Why is that kid still in the class?" I stopped for a moment, answered, "Excuse me?" "She couldn't swim by herself. Why is she still in the class?" The class was the 3rd level of 6 through 12 swimming class, a requirement to know how to float, streamline, and freestyle on their own. Well, right now she's not comfortable with the cold water temperature, so I kick her out. "Excuse me?" The entitled dad starts to get louder. "You heard me. Kick her out. She can't swim, so remove her from your class." "Sir, I can't do that. I don't have the authority to—" "She doesn't belong there. She's terrible. Kick her out." Also noted, the mother and the uncomfortable swimmer were gone before he confronted me, so he was talking bad stuff behind their backs. "I'm sorry, sir, but give it a few weeks. My coworker will work with her, and—" "Just kick her out, please." I sighed and realized I was already behind and was held back by him. I wasn't much of a negotiator or comfortable with a full-blown argument. Mostly can get super emotional about it. So I was basically a pushover. Unlike my coworker, who speaks his mind and just focuses on his job. "All right, I'll think about it. Now, can I get to my next class, please?" He turned and walked away to where his kids were. He had 2 sons, one was in the second to last class, and the other was in the last class that I don't teach. My boss and another one of my coworkers saw what happened and asked. I told them what he had said and demanded me to do, and all my boss had to say was, "So he's basically a jerk." I walked to my class, got it running, and ended the day there. I planned to tell my coworker about it to let him know what to expect. Well, week after Labor Day, that is. Work was on a Monday. This was a week before Labor Day. Week 2. So I went back to my aide shift, and my coworker got back to his classes again, and we get back to the second to last class, which seems to dictate that nothing has changed since last week. My coworker, we'll call Al, had another student in the class as well who was comfortable, so he sent both of them to the castle, or standing structure in the water for the kids to stand on in the middle of the water, and worked with uncomfortable kid to get her settled in. Note, technically Al was not there last week, so it did not count for him as her 3rd week, just her 2nd with him, so still solid to teach. Entitled Dad was still there, and he got irritated that it seemed like his demand was left in deaf ears. I mean, what did you expect? I, as a replacement, have the power to remove someone from someone else's class? Not happening. He went towards Al and said, in what Al told me since I was too far from them to hear, "Your other teacher didn't seem to listen to what I had to say. This girl is incapable of swimming on her own. You also have 2 boys who are capable of learning properly than her. So why is she not dealt with yet?" The mother, who heard it, was silent, but was shown to be appalled by what he had said. Al, taking no words to mind, said, "Sir, while it seems that she is incapable of swimming on her own, it is my job still to help her with her form and make sure she is truly capable of doing so. If you have a complaint, take it to the office. They'll hear your bickering more than I do. I'm working right now." Angrily, Entitled Dad walks towards the deck coordinator, not the office, to place his complaint in. As a result, the coordinator went towards me and asked me to help aid Al for the time being about the girl incapable of swimming on her own. I said, "I know, I'll help." I went over and led the 2 boys myself in the class while Al worked with the girl to get her more comfortable in the water and move on her own. Class ended without any more complaints, and we move on. And then we come to today. Week 3, today. So, same scenario. Everything going well this time. Al had a shadow, someone who follows the instructor around to learn the ropes, as they are new to the work. So no help from other aides needed. Thank God for me. We got back to the second to last class again, Al teaching the whole class again, and the girl and the entitled dad had the look saying, "You know what? Forget this. I'm about to end this girl's swimming class." He stood up and walked towards the office, and the other comfortable boy's mother follows. Both went to my boss, expressing their discomfort with the girl being the only student to be taught by Al, and shows no attention to the other boys, who the shadow was teaching, and demand that it's been 4 weeks. It's already too long. Send her out the doors. I heard most of it and had to ask my coworker nearest to them what they said. My boss, feeling like it was past time to have her in the water, decided to place a drop form and place her back to second level, away from cold water to develop again. Satisfied, the entitled dad and his backup went back to the area, smiling, knowing they put down a child's swim lesson. Way to go. Arguing about a kid not being able to swim because of freezing temperature. Honestly, I don't blame the dad. He wanted the best for his kid, but the best does not include trying to kick a kid out because of her lack of resistance. If he would have left it for Al to work with her more, but show no progress, it would prove so. All he did was push, push, push until he got what he wanted. The mother of the girl seems so upset, I wouldn't be surprised if she just pulls her out of class. The other mother was just a bystander who joined after, so no comment there. I wish Al and I had done more, but damage has been done. Entitled dad got what he wanted. Hopefully this is over and blows away, and I never want to see that kind of obnoxious behavior again. I really feel bad for the girl. Even if she wasn't capable of swimming in cold water, she didn't deserve the verbal harassment behind and in front of her.